Ollie would do it for free. And I'm hearing reports like Ollie would happily do the job for free. And I'm just looking, I think Ineos cost cutting. Ollie wouldn't demand a payout. Ollie probably do it for free. Also, one thing Ineos don't like is the club legends criticising the manager. Well, they're not going to criticise Ollie. That's number two. And then
That
number
is true.
three,
Gary Neville would be suddenly
won't.
become United's biggest fan again, wouldn't he?
And Ollie's a bit of a yes man. We know Ineos want a yes man. We know Ineos want a cost cut, and we know Ineos want to shut Gary Neville up. And Ollie ticks those three boxes. So that's what I think Ineos are looking at, to be honest. But they also know the fans. Most fans would quite like it. Like, I'm concerned because I think McKenna was responsible for the best work under Ollie. I am concerned. Also, we don't have a left winger, which explains the Semenyo links. And we need a midfielder. But I just don't think it can be much worse than Amarimbul.
Do you think maybe as well that the squad we have, I know you mentioned obviously we don't have a left winger, and obviously Ole's left winger was Rashford, like 24-year-old Rashford, also like back injury Rashford. But before then, obviously Rashford was just a fantastic winger. He still is at Barcelona. He's got 7 goals, 11 assists in 25 games. But could you argue that maybe our squad is better now than it was under Solskjær when we were finishing second or first? So Solskjær would have a lot to work with in our squad, or do you think there are like deficiencies in our squad that could hold Solskjær back if he was to be interim and try and go for that top 4?
The midfield is the problem because Matic, Pogba, Bruno. Well, midfield, I like Maino. He can probably do the Pogba role, but Pogba was immense when he came back from I think it was an injury or something. Matic is a bit like Casemiro, top player, but Matic was starting to lose his legs. So Matic and Casemiro are quite light for light, but I'd probably put Matic a little bit above Casemiro just at that point in time to Casemiro
in terms
now.
Of consistency, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maino's just would do the Pogba role, but he's maybe not as physically dominant as Pogba. Bruno is Bruno. Bruno's still a nuts player. I think Mbeumo is probably better than what Mason Greenwood was back then on the right. I think it would be Cunha in the Martial role, not Sesko, just because Martial.
That's what I was going to mention to you is that Solskjær loved having Anthony Martial drop deep and link up play. So could Cunha provide the same kind of? But even Šeško as well does it quite well. Because I personally think there are some really, really good profiles in this squad that he would make very, very good use of towards the end of the season.
Yeah, so I look at Cunha and I think, I don't know if he'd be better than NHS Martial, but he'd probably be more consistent. And then Ahmad on the left. I don't know how Ahmad would do left wing, but I think he's probably the best person for it, unless you put Mbeumo left wing, give him that Rafinha role.
And then Ahmad on the right.
Maybe you put Mbeumo left wing, Ahmad on the right. Yeah. It's pretty good. And then the back line is probably, you've got right back, you've got Mazraoui or Dalot. I think Mazraoui's better, but I think you'd go with Dalot to begin with. Left back, you've got Shaw. And we'll see how Dorgu does in the back four. I think he's better in the back four for Denmark. And then he wanted De Ligt before Maguire. You've got to remember, Ollie actually first choice centre back for De Ligt. Then we got Maguire, and De Ligt is better than Maguire. So if De Ligt's fit first, he goes in next to Leacher, I think. But you've got Heaven, you've got Yoro. I think the back line's better because, I know Lindelof and Maguire had a good clean sheet record. I think they went 23 games unbeaten away from home under Ollie. But I think De Ligt and Leacher is better than Maguire and Lindelof. I think midfield is worse. I think the attack is on par, but maybe more consistent.
Would you say maybe Le Mans is then also possibly more reliable than De Gea? Not necessarily in shot stopping, but his overall game. Because we all know how De Gea was, catching and claiming and not being commanding. He could maybe be a more solid goalkeeper for Solskjær.
Yeah, I think when the season we came second, because I've been naming the squad mostly when we came third and we went on that lockdown run.
Yeah.
But the team when we came second, we had Dean Henderson in goal for a few months, and we did look quite better with Dean Henderson in goal, weirdly, under Ollie. I thought that was one of our best periods.
That's true.
So maybe with Le Mans just being a bit more confident, but I think De Gea became more reliability under Ten Hag because Ten Hag wanted to play out with his goalkeeper a lot more than Ollie did. I think that's when De Gea became liability.
And just one more thing I want to ask you. So obviously, this show, we're sponsored by Rocket, and what we do every single show, something also I like doing anyway, is Rocket presents ranked. And I want to ask you, Alice, if you were to rank them, when Solskjær was our manager, what are your top 3 moments under Ole? Is there any that spring to mind?
Oh, I don't know, because we didn't win any trophies. That's the annoying thing. But the number one moment, I think it was when we beat Leeds 5-1. We just come second the season before. We just signed Rafael Varane. Varane is announced in the stadium. And Rafael Varane, apart from injuries, was a brilliant signing for us.
Oh, so good.
We won 2 trophies with him. We'd signed Varane. We battered Leeds 5-1. Bruno got a hat trick. Pogba got 4 assists. Like, I generally believed we were going to win the league that season. Then we went to sign Ronaldo, and then it kind of all went. But that was
Yeah.
number one. I think number two was the mood of bringing back Ronaldo. I know we needed a midfielder more than Ronaldo, but I think he helped us get Ronaldo because they had a good relationship. And
Just
then
like that moment of seeing him in the
yeah. And then number three was definitely just lockdown vibes. You know, we were like eighth. We signed Bruno. Rashford and Pogba both came back from injuries around lockdown because I think the league was on pause for a few months. And I think we literally went 14 games unbeaten in the Premier League, went from like eighth to fourth. And I just the vibes that we had, you know, NHS Martial, Pogba, Matic, Bruno. That 5-2 win over Bournemouth was such a good game. Like, you know, there were so many good games there. I think top three, but then it's really hard not to include when McTominay scored late versus City from like the halfway line because he got a few
and
wins over City.
also, by the way, you're forgetting probably what would be my favourite is that night in Paris.
Oh yeah, I mean that was the why he got
I
the
think
contract.
I put that for me. That's number one. That might be number one in the last decade in terms of just like a pure single moment. That the FA Cup final against you lot, 2024. That's high up there as well. But the fact that we were so done in for that PSG game, I think did we lose the first leg?
2-0, we lost
2-0, yeah, and then come back 3-1. Marcus Rashford, last minute penalty, Lukaku race. For me, that's top. But also then, the 5-1 against Leeds, not to add because that was on my 21st birthday. So obviously that was a fantastic day for me. And then also I would say, you said signing Ronaldo. Mine would be watching Bruno Fernandes' first 6 months at United.
Oh
my jaw was on the floor for basically 5 months.
The biggest impact signing I've ever seen in the Premier League.
Yeah,
8th to 4th.
I agree.
Or 3rd,
at least from what I've seen with my own eyes.
Like, if Ineos want to bring someone in January that has a Bruno Fernandes impact in the DM role, please do. But I don't think it's possible.
I don't think there's anyone in world football that'll be able to do that for us.
No, he's one of a kind.
Really don't. But regardless, Alice, won't take much more of your time. But thank you so much for hopping on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Cheers. Yeah.
I don't like a few of them moments.
Well, like just thinking about them.
Yeah, that
and thinking about what we could do.
Yeah. I'm the more I think about Solskjær coming back, the more I do worry about that derby game.
If Solskjær can rejuvenate some of the juice he had before, this is why I'm so sold on it, and why like the kind of like the real just like fan side of me, and like how like all fans dream, don't they?
Yeah,
right? Like
you
dream of signing the best players, you dream of the dreamer side of me is going like just like think. Cause I remember I had such a specific moment under Solskjær, which will stick with me forever, which was I went to go watch United play at the Emirates, and I was in the home end. So because a mate of mine was an Arsenal fan, I got some tickets, and I was in the home end, but I was in the gate next to the away end, and they had, I don't know if it's still there or not in the Emirates, but at the time they had a big metal divider going between where the away fans came and the home fans came in the stadium, and all I could hear was just on repeat, like thudding, lots of thudding with the Ollie's at the wheel chant. And I was stood there on the other side of this thing. I couldn't see any of the fans.
But you were gutted.
But I could just hear them. Well, I was A, gutted that wasn't part of it. B, I was looking at it just being like, that's crazy. Yeah. Like that is like just like the unity.
It's the best vibes you've had since
by far and away the best. By far, well, I think we lost that game 2-0 in the end.
Yeah.
I think it was Xhaka scored from like 30 yards or something. Or like it's like a deflected effort that went well over everybody. But regardless, it was before that game. Like hearing it did, as you know, it gave me chills.
Yeah,
I can't think of a single other manager who's been able to unify our club like that since. Because also he stands for us more than any other manager. This